Let me take you to a world of wonder, where magic dances in the most unexpected places. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let the softness of this tale guide you to a peaceful slumber. Tonight, we follow the story of a little girl, a mysterious ice cream cart, and the secrets it holds. Layla was a curious and kind-hearted girl who lived in the quiet town of Meadowbrook. This town was surrounded by lush green fields, sparkling rivers, and a sky that seemed to stretch endlessly. Lila's days were simple, yet filled with wonder, exploring flower-filled meadows, skipping stones by the creek, and collecting tiny treasures like colorful pebbles, feathers, and wildflowers. But what made Lila happiest was her weekly trip to the village square, where an old ice cream vendor would bring his cart every Saturday. The cart was an ordinary sight: wooden wheels, a faded red canopy, and a cheerful bell that jingled as it moved. The vendor, Mr. Carver, was a gentle old man who always had a smile for Lila. He'd scoop her favorite strawberry swirl onto a cone and tell her funny stories about his youth. But one Saturday evening, everything changed. It was late in the evening when Lila noticed something unusual. The square was empty, except for an unfamiliar ice cream cart that seemed to glow faintly under the moonlight. Its canopy shimmered like silk, and the wheels sparkled as if dusted with stardust. Drawn by its beauty, Layla approached cautiously. As she got closer, she realized this was no ordinary cart. The tubs of ice cream inside seemed to glow, each one a different, mesmerizing color. Behind the cart stood a woman unlike anyone Lila had ever seen. She had long, silvery hair that flowed like liquid moonlight and eyes that sparkled with a knowing kindness. Her voice was soft, almost like a melody, as she spoke. "Welcome, little one," she said. "Would you like to taste something truly special?" Lila hesitated. "Who are you?" she asked. The woman smiled. "You may call me Mira. I serve ice cream that isn't just sweet. It's magic. Each flavor holds a secret, a gift, or a challenge. But be warned, magic always comes with a price." Layla's eyes widened with curiosity. She glanced at the glowing tubs. One swirled with deep blue like the ocean, another shimmered gold, and yet another sparkled with the colors of a rainbow. "Would you like to try?" Mira asked, holding out a small silver spoon. Unable to resist, Lila nodded. She pointed to the golden tub. Mira scooped a small amount into a cone and handed it to her. "One bite is all it takes," she whispered. As Lila took her first bite, a wave of warmth spread through her, as if she were basking in the sunlight on a chilly day. The flavor was unlike anything she'd ever tasted, sweet, rich, and comforting. But then, something extraordinary happened. The world around her seemed to shimmer and shift. She blinked, and when her eyes focused again, she was no longer in the village square. She stood in a meadow bathed in golden light. The air was filled with the sound of laughter and the sweet scent of flowers. Animals of all kinds, birds, deer, rabbits, gathered around her, watching her with curious eyes. To her astonishment, one of the birds, a small sparrow, spoke. "Thank you for bringing the light," it chirped. "You've awakened the meadow." Layla was bewildered but delighted. She spent what felt like hours exploring this magical place, talking to the animals and basking in the golden glow. But as the sun began to set, the sparrow warned her, "Magic meadows fade with the light. If you wish to return, you must find the key." "What key?" Lila asked. But before she could get an answer, the meadow dissolved, and she found herself back in the village square. Layla returned to Mira, her heart racing. "That was amazing. Can I try another flavor?" Mira's smile was warm but tinged with mystery. "Magic is not to be taken lightly. Are you ready for what's next?" chose the tub that sparkled with rainbow colors. Mira handed her another cone, and as Lila took a bite, the world around her shifted again. She was now in a vast library, its shelves towering high above her, filled with glowing books. Each book seemed to hum softly, as if alive. "Welcome to the Library of Whispers," said a voice. Lila turned to see a tall figure cloaked in shadows. "Here, you can read the stories of all who have lived, are living, and will live. But choose carefully. Every story comes with its own truth." Lila spent hours exploring the library, opening books that showed her glimpses of incredible adventures, heartwarming tales, and even her own future. But when she stumbled upon a book with her name on it, she hesitated. Did she want to know her own story? Before she could decide, the library began to fade. The cloaked figure's voice echoed as she returned to the village. "Your story is yours to write. Use your magic wisely." By now, Layla was both exhilarated and wary. She returned to Mira, who looked at her with a knowing expression. "One last flavor remains," she said, gesturing to the deep blue tub. "But this one is different. It's not just a wish or an adventure. It's a challenge." Lila hesitated, then nodded. Mira scooped the ice cream, and as Lila took a bite, the world plunged into darkness. She found herself in a forest, the trees towering and gnarled. The air was cold, and shadows moved between the trees. "Who dares enter my domain?" growled a deep voice. A massive wolf, its eyes glowing like embers, stepped into view. "To leave this forest, you must face your fear." Lila's heart pounded, but she stood her ground. "What fear?" she asked. The wolf's gaze pierced her. The fear of being powerless. In that moment, Lila realized she wasn't afraid of the wolf. She was afraid of not knowing what to do, of making mistakes, of failing. But as she took a deep breath, she remembered the lessons from the meadow and the library. Magic wasn't about power. It was about trust, in herself, in the world, and in the journey. The wolf nodded, as if satisfied, and the forest dissolved. Layla was back in the square, the first light of dawn creeping over the horizon. Mira handed Lila a small silver spoon. "You faced the magic and learned its truths," she said. "This spoon is a reminder that magic is not in the ice cream, it's in you." As the cart vanished into the morning light, Layla felt a warmth in her heart. She walked home, knowing that while the magic ice cream was gone, the lessons it had taught her would stay forever. And now, as you drift off to sleep, remember, magic is all around you, waiting to be found in the simplest moments. Good night, and sweet dreams.